Welcome to Radiant Health, how to create health from the inside out. I'm your host, Lori Waka, and I'm so happy that you're joining us today. Hopefully you found a nice, quiet place that's comfortable and you're able to just sit back and take this all in. You never know, today might be the day that you find out exactly what you're looking for. And I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest today. Alexandra Danieli is a human design and conditioning expert with many years of experience in the health, wellness, and personal transformation field. Originally from Germany, she now lives in the Bay Area, California, with her 2 children, chickens, and family. Alexandra, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you here with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Me too. I'm super excited for this conversation.
Well, first, I want to just ask you, what does radiant health mean to you?
So, basically, for me, radiant health means seeing ourselves as not just the body or not just the mind or the emotions or the spirit. It just means living in a very balanced way, supporting our body, supporting our emotional well-being, supporting a healthy mind, and having a active, very healthy, balanced spiritual life, whatever that means for each person. But for me, those are the pillars that
I love that. And oh,
no,
oh,
yeah.
I love that. Yes, that's I completely agree. And I just want to say that my internet connection is unstable. My internet connection is unstable. Are you seeing me still?
I see you. Yeah, we'll
Oh,
make
good. Okay.
we'll make it happen.
Yeah, sorry about that. Um, I completely agree with you, and that's exactly how I feel. And I have to tell you, I'm really excited to learn about human design today. And I know that that's what you're going to tell us about. So, I had actually never heard of it until I was introduced to you. So, do you mind sharing a little bit about what human design is and how it can help us with radiant health?
Very happy to. It's been a tool that I found a little while ago, and it combines a lot of astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the Judaic Kabbalah, and some other aspects in it so that it can create a birth chart for you. And then, like a lot of other things, it puts you into categories, or as we call it, types. But the most important thing is not that it defines or limits you. It's a tool for a deeper awareness of what matters to you. Where are your core wounds? What are you here to communicate in the world? How are you as Laurie or me as Alexandra? How do we make aligned decisions with the setup that we have, so we don't need to rummage around in our head anymore and wonder all day long, make pro and contra lists, and be indecisive and worry about what other people think. It's all about finding that inner peace so that we can make aligned decisions from a space in our body and listen, and that's why it's so relevant to me to talk about this in regards to health, because it really is a tool that gets us more into our bodies and out of our heads, and at the same time helps us get more empowered and make better decisions, easy
Wow,
decisions.
that's oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's a lot of information it gives you.
Mhm.
And it's almost like this foundation you can work from. Is that true? Just to help you on a day-to-day basis?
Very much so. And I'm very much a proponent of not just following one theory, because there are definitely things that we know or have known in our hearts, or our soul can only guide us in a unique way. There's also things that astrology can do that human design can't do, and the other way around. So I'm always loving putting tools together, but it's definitely something that even if you just follow your own strategy and authority and just make that a big practice of your life, it just gets you in a much deeper connection with yourself and a trust for your body, trust for your own guidance, your soul, yourself. And really you can do a lot of deconditioning just by living that deep trust, and trust in the spirit and trust in yourself.
And when you talk about deconditioning, is that like maybe self-limiting beliefs or blocks that you might have, that kind of deconditioning, or?
Yeah, I like to see conditioning as anything inside of us that is not our energy. So if we imagine ourselves as a pure blissful baby, and even in the womb we can already go through things, right? Or we can bring things from past lives. But as we imagine ourselves as our highest self with our highest potential, not caring what any other person says and just living in our highest expression, not from the space of I don't care about other people, but knowing that our highest expression is the highest amount of love we can bring to the world, right? And and go from there. And then anything else in life or that we carry from previous lives that has been a condition from another person or a traumatic event or anything that makes us doubt ourselves or any thought that hurts, like any judgment that we carry, like all of those are conditions that aren't our highest self. And so there can be limiting beliefs, there can be traumas, there can be all of these things, but I like to just simplify it to whatever isn't our own energy and we carry it around. And that keeps us from being our highest expression.
Oh, I like that. That's I believe so much in our energy and working with it. And I like how you put that. What's not our energy doesn't serve us. And it's like you said, a way to decondition it. That's oh so powerful. Um, so how would you say, like, how do you practice this on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, well, there are two things that I practice on a daily basis very consistently. And habits are definitely in my human design chart something that grounds me and that I need for my external expression. So I have very strong habits around my physical. I meditate every morning. I do a little workout routine. I have a very I have a setup around my shake and what goes into it and the nutrients and all that stuff. I have rules what I eat and just for myself. So it's not everyone wants to live like that, and it's not. It gives me freedom. It isn't as limiting as it sounds. But that's something that I just do for myself, taking really good care, listening to my body. And the other thing, I have a very spiritual, like a strong spiritual practice that I do every day too, which also isn't a big deal, but it frees me. It makes me feel good. And the other big thing, and that has helped me so much in my personal development and my business development the most, is really paying close attention to my emotions and processing them on a real time basis.
Like just being present and acknowledging them and
Well, yeah, first of all, the thing is, we close our eyes. We have so many inner eyes, and it's always about, we have to see or we have to become aware. But I feel like we have all these eyes inside of us that are close to realities and situations in our lives, in our external, in our internal, that we just don't want to see yet. So the more of these eyes we can open and be really, really honest with ourselves, like, what is a need that I am not getting met? Why is this hurting so much, right? Am I ready to see that reality? And doing that on a daily basis. And sometimes, we have to have the tools of how to handle that so it doesn't knock us out completely left and right, right? For example, right now I'm going through something deep emotional that is very, very painful, and it's been going on for like a few days, but in the past it would have knocked me out. I couldn't have done anything. I couldn't have shown up in my business. I would have like just made the bare minimum of snacks and food for the kids. Now I have the tools. I'm able to hold it. And there's this beautiful saying one of my mentors has said: just because you're holding it doesn't mean it isn't heavy. It's heavy and you're holding it, right? And
wow.
so it's always about how can we increase our capacity to holding what's heavy, transmuting it with our tools, and at the same time show up, so we don't have to take ourselves out of the equation anymore just to process things.
Wow. And I think you're like living this perfect testament to this because you showed up for this interview today and I had no idea anything was going on, but you were able to like continue as you just mentioned earlier because so many of us I think when something painful is happening, it can really debilitate us, and it can affect our personal life, our business life, and even those around us, actually. So the ability to be able to, like you said, just show up for yourself during these painful times is such an important tool to have. And is it through this the human design that you're able to kind of gather these tools to help you through these painful times, or would you say?
Well, the human design, I feel like, is more of an awareness tool of what are your superpowers, what are your highest levels of expression, what is where your soul is headed, what is what you're supposed to talk about in this lifetime, what are some common struggles you might be encountering in life, and just getting more, anything that can relax my nervous system and give me like a, oh, that's why, or oh, that's okay to be me, and that kind of stuff. And then the deconditioning is a different kind of process, even though there are many, many, many ways to decondition. And a lot of human design people say just by living your strategy and authority for your type, and there are 5 types,
Okay.
you will just naturally decondition over the course of 7 years. However, I've done so much of other deconditioning in the past with like sacred plant medicines and meditations and the other spiritual tools I've learned, and emotional release techniques. And now my business partner and I have created our own method, the ultimate deconditioning method, which puts a lot of what these tools are together in something, so it doesn't have to take 7 years, and we don't, we can accelerate this thing a little bit with some methods, some techniques, and it just works really well together, because the human design chart shows you your highest potential in that way, right? But everything in the chart has a low expression and a high expression, and so we're everyone somewhere in between. All of these archetypes in the chart have, like, here's what it looks like when it's unbalanced or you're in your lower self, and then you're like, oh yeah, that looks like me in my teenager years, or oh, yeah, I'm still there somewhat now, or some of them we may have already mastered. But it just gets us to that mastery in our potential a lot better, so we can just, instead of being in victim mode and saying, oh, all these things are happening to me and I need to wait 7 years to decondition, we can be much more in this active space of saying, okay, this hurts and I know what's happening and I know where I'm going, because this lower expression, that's highest expression, and once I work through this, that's where I'm going to get. Then
Wow.
we can take ourselves and the self-suffering and all that stuff out of the equation a little bit, and just say, okay, this is also going on in my body right now, but I can still have a good time and serve.
Right. So there's sometimes just that awareness of it being there and why it's there, and then kind of where you're going, I would
Mhm.
imagine is just so very helpful. I know it's so informative and extremely interesting. Like I've heard of birth charts, but I had never heard of human design charts. I guess you call them charts.
Yeah, we call them charts, or they're sometimes also called body graphs. And there's also astrology birth charts, and they can also give you a very deep level of understanding, but it's just different things. And I feel like when you combine several of these together, I mean, I love human design, I love teaching it, I love living it, but it's also when you just put the most helpful ones together to form the fullest picture. That's like that, I love that. um yeah, and the reason why I find this is so important for health is because human design is a tool to get us out of this worrying head all the time. Like, how many of us like go to the store and like, I need to buy a lipstick or underpants, and we stand there, it's like, but these are blue, but those are black, but these have this, these have that. It's like, and then we loop in our head for 15 minutes or
That's
20,
true.
and we can't make the simplest decisions because our heads are like, but what if, but what that. And then and when we spend a lot of our life like that, we don't realize how much time we waste with those little things. And when we find that strategy in our body and that authority, we can just ask, so what does your gut say? These ones or that? Or as we say for generator types, what does your sacral say? And then it's like, oh, easy. And then,
Really?
yeah, and it's just when it comes to health, and that's just one of the ways that works for some people. I have a different one, but it's just so relaxing to the nervous system. And as we know, if we're in constant stress, I mean, I'm sure you're very well aware of this, constant stress and nervous system alert and fight or flight or freeze and all our sympathetic states, that is where all the chronic illness comes from. So the less we can be in those stressful states, and the more we can trust our bodies to help us make the right decisions, it's just such a huge relief.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that's just what I was thinking. What a kind of a load off to be able to sort of turn to something as maybe a guide to kind of help you through different situations. And you're so right. Anything we can do to help us with that stress mode, because we do, our body does go into like fight or flight. Um, and again, for me, a lot of times it's that debilitating feeling of overwhelm and not being able to accomplish anything. And I suppose that's when that thought process comes in, where you're looking at both sides and you just can't make this decision. And I would love to have something available to me to help with that. That sounds wonderful. So now normally it takes like 7 years to kind of learn how to do this, but you've been able to kind of put together some tools that make it a quicker.
Well, there I want to go back just a moment, because there are so many different schools of human design out there now. Not
Okay.
so many, but there's the original gentleman. He was even a German. He downloaded this. He had a voice come in. So a lot of people are already like, oh, this is downloaded. But when you look at all it together, it just is like mind boggling. Even people who don't believe in it, when you read them, like, this is your natural expression. This is what you're naturally good at. And they're like, uh-huh. so
That's
so
cool.
this gentleman, Ra Uruhu, he is the original man, and there are purists that just follow his thing. However, everyone lives their own. They call it the experiment. Start your experiment. Start living your strategy and authority. Start looking at your chart, listening to it, asking it questions. And he said it takes 7 years to decondition once you start living your strategy and authority. Then there are people who are just very much sticking to that. There's other people who are just, I'm more of a free flower. My teacher is a lady. She's even changing everything up a little bit, because when Ra downloaded it, the language of the system was very much a little shocking to wake up people's awareness. Nowadays, so many people are getting so much more aware, and then it can sound scary a little bit when you have the gate of shock or the gate of struggle, and you constantly tell yourself, oh, I have the gate of struggle. It's like a story that keeps repeating. So
Okay.
my teacher has started putting more empowering language to it, but many purists aren't liking it. So but I believe in it to be, let's just all use it as a tool for more awareness and how we can get to our higher self and to more love, to more inner growth, as opposed to fighting each other, which is the purest and the rightest thing to do, right?
Right.
And
I
so,
oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just going to say I love that thought, that process of and I love using empowering language and language that doesn't maybe put those kind of stick those stories in our head. So I love what you're saying and what you're doing. But go ahead. I
Yeah.
apologize.
No, and I also love what he brought into the world, and I honor and I love his speeches, and the content and everything he's brought is amazing. And but the thought is, there are so many ways to decondition in the world, and there are so many of the purists who come to me and say, how can you know anything about this, because you've only done it for xxx amount of time and not for 7 full years.
Oh,
And I say to them, but I have been deeply deconditioning in very intense ways for 5 years before it even came to me. So that's why it gave me such a head start. Plus, accidentally, in retrospect, I realized that I found my own inner physical authority. That is also my human design authority, sometime in my 20s, and started trusting and following it. So even without knowing about human design, I was already living some pieces of it. And so the deconditioning piece of it is variable. Everyone can do inner child work, or like there's so many ways of doing it, but we just have a way that we really love that works for us. And we do it in a very targeted way also with our, together with your human design chart. So you can, because you decondition your entire life, right? Whatever you become aware of, you heal it more and more. But we decondition in a very targeted way toward the human design chart, which carries specific archetypal energies. And so we are working on deconditioning those as well. And when it comes to health again, when we tie it back in with that, a lot of the decisions, and you well know that too, because you've worked with people so deeply on like personal training, I believe, and stuff like that. A lot of the decisions we make in our lives, we're not even aware of that we are punishing ourselves subconsciously by not showing up for ourselves, or by overeating, or whatever it is, or over drinking, whatever our little thing is that we don't do for our bodies, where we don't show up out of pure deepest love for ourselves.
yes.
So the more we decondition, especially the area around the heart, which is all connected to self-love and giving love and love of spirit and love of the body, right? The more we decondition these areas, the more everything in life just falls into place, and we automatically make better decisions for ourselves, and we automatically just want to eat healthier. We enjoy working out more or moving the body. And so this is just all a system that ties together. I don't believe in just eating well, or just, and I was a gut health coach before, or just cleaning up your gut. There was always something missing.
Right.
And when you tie all the things together, there's also something out there. I'm not aware of what they all are, but it's the 7 pillars of health, I think, right?
Yes, I've heard of that as well. Yes.
Yeah. So there's not just one thing we need to keep track of, right? They all, and I just love covering the spiritual and the potential and the deconditioning, the emotional side of it.
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing all that. And I was actually going to ask you, like an actionable step our viewers can take. And I know you've actually, offered a lot of healthy ways for them to live their life. But is there like an actionable step, one maybe specific step that would be good for them to help with kind of getting themselves back in alignment and self love?
I feel like the first thing that comes up is always listening to your body, like trusting the deep, deep wisdom of your body. And we have all been so trained to suppress uncomfortable things, or evading them, or making them go away, or think positive thoughts.
Yep.
I think the most important step for everyone is to train that muscle more of, if your body is showing you something, and if it hurts or if it's uncomfortable, don't just take a pain pill. Don't just try and make it go away. Ask the deeper questions, feel, like sit with it, process it. What could it mean? Like, or if you're angry or mad, don't just ask, like, how can I feel better right now? Just don't try and fight all the things that feel uncomfortable, and start opening ourselves more up to ourselves and what that means that we are feeling something. And just really, really starting to trust the deep wisdom of our bodies more.
Oh, I like that. And I so agree. It's so important. And I think, um, like the more and more I work I do, I just know how important that is. Like you said, to really feel those emotions, sit with them, ask why am I feeling this way? So that's such good advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I know that we're getting close on time, and I want to make sure to give you time to, you've been so generous to offer a gift to our viewers. So I want to go ahead and give you an opportunity to let them know what you're offering.
Thank you, dear. And I also want to really quickly throw in there, of course, also eat well, get plenty of good sleep, drink healthy water, spend lots of good times with your family and friends, focus on the fun, So here we
Yes.
go. I just wanted to add those on top.
No, that's great because those are all so important. So, yes, I'm glad you added that. Thank you. Those
You're
are really
welcome.
important. I completely agree.
Yes, and for our viewers, because I'm aware that a lot of people might be new to human design, I want to offer a free training that I've made with my partner, Annalena, and it's an introduction into human design. So you can just really start learning more about what are the basics of this and where to go from here if you are feeling called, if this does sound interesting. And you can get your free chart. All you need is your birth information and the most exact birth time that that your parents or um, your birth certificate can offer. And you can go to mybodygraph.com, and um, they offer a free chart. There's many other areas on the internet too, but I just like that one. There's no other one that is wrong either. And then with that free chart, watch our free human design training, and then go from there and
Oh,
be in touch if you want to know more.
oh, that sounds wonderful. Thank you. I think I'm going to do that myself because I want to learn. I want to learn more. So I will make sure to include that link to both how to get in contact with you and then the My Body chart. Um,
Mybodygraph.com.
mybodygraph.com. I will make sure to have that right in the email that goes out with this interview. So thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. And before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share, or maybe something that I have forgotten to mention?
I just always like to remind myself and other people of the infinite healing possibilities and potentials of our bodies. Like they're just our bodies when always want to do the best thing for us when they're equipped with the best materials or vitamins or micronutrients, macros, whatever they need, right? um, and so I just always like to end with that. No matter what you're dealing with on an emotional or physical level, there's a way out. And this kind of summit that you are hosting, Laurie, is just going to give so many people so much hope. And I just love that. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I love what you just said too about our bodies know how to take care of us as long as we are putting the right stuff into it, the right, like you said, nutrients, food, thoughts, so important. So thank you for sharing that. And oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they do the best with what they have available. And so many people feel betrayed by their bodies. But I just want everyone to start rethinking our bodies are our friends and they do the best with what they have. And it's up to us to say yes and support them on a deeper level.
Oh, what a beautiful way to put that, because we don't, you're right, we don't think of our body as our friends, and some oftentimes we do think of it as betraying us. And so that's, I like what you've said. It's like a bonding friendship that you can have with your body. So
Yes.
thank you. Thanks so much for sharing everything you shared today. I've learned so much. Thank you for taking time and being with us.
Mm.
And to our viewers, thank you for taking time for yourself today and joining us. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye. Bye.
Bye.